I thought my marriage was boring. Then I found out it was a lie I was paying for. My wife used to joke that I was low drama. She said it like it was a compliment. Calm. Reliable. Safe. I believed her. I believed that love was built from quiet mornings, shared bills, and small routines that slowly turned into a life. I believed that if you showed up every day, if you listened, if you worked hard and stayed loyal, it would be enough. I did not know she was laughing about me behind my back. I found out at a casual weekend gathering. Nothing fancy. A rented house, folding chairs, food laid out on plastic tables. People from her office, people I had met before but never really knew. My wife, Lydia, was inside refilling drinks when one of her coworkers stepped closer to me. Her name was Marla. She looked uncomfortable, like she was carrying something heavy that did not belong to her. I don't want to cause problems, she said quietly. But this has been bothering me for months. My stomach tightened. What do you mean? She hesitated, then unlocked her phone. There's a private group chat, she said. She talks about you there. I did not understand at first. People complain. Everyone does. But when she handed me the phone, I felt the ground move under my feet. Message after message from Lydia. She said I was boring. That I had no passion. That being with me felt like being stuck in a waiting room. She compared me to another woman. Rowan. Rowan was exciting. Rowan was confident. Rowan made her feel wanted. The messages were casual. Comfortable. Like she had been tearing me apart for so long that it no longer felt wrong. What froze my blood were the dates. She wrote those messages while I was sitting next to her on the couch. While I was cooking dinner for both of us. While I was sending her supportive texts during her long days at work. I handed the phone back to Marla. My hands were shaking. I thought you should know, she said. I didn't think it was fair. I thanked her. I do not remember what else I said. That night, I acted normal. I smiled. I listened. I asked about her week. She kissed my forehead before bed and told me she loved me. I stared at the ceiling long after she fell asleep. The next morning, after she left for work, I opened her laptop. The password was still our anniversary date. I used to think that meant something. I found everything. Emails between Lydia and Rowan. Photos taken in mirrors I recognized. Hotel confirmations for nights she told me she was working late. Messages where they joked about how trusting I was. One message stopped me completely. Rowan asked, "When are you leaving her?" Lydia replied, "Not yet. She has good credit. Stable income. I need to fix my finances first." I was not her partner. I was her backup plan. I kept digging. Credit cards I never opened. Applications with my name and signature. Forged. My perfect credit was gone. Tens of thousands in debt. All in my name. She had built her freedom on my stability. When I confronted her that night, she did not cry. She did not apologize. She looked tired, almost bored. "You changed," she said. "You're not enough anymore." I packed a bag and left. I stayed with a friend named Elise, sleeping on her couch, staring at the ceiling, trying to understand how my life had collapsed so quietly. A lawyer confirmed what I already knew. This was fraud. But before I made a move, my phone rang. Marla again. "There's something else," she said. "About Rowan." We met at a small cafe. Marla looked around before speaking. "Rowan isn't just someone from work," she said. "She's the daughter of Lydia's supervisor. Helen Cross." Everything clicked. The affair was not about desire. It was strategy. Lydia wanted a promotion. More power. More money. She believed I would never push back. That I would stay quiet. That I would absorb the damage. She was wrong. That night, I started saving everything. Emails. Screenshots. Documents. I was not angry anymore. I was focused. Once I understood that this was never just betrayal, something inside me went cold. Not numb. Not broken. Focused. I stopped crying. I stopped replaying conversations in my head, searching for the moment I had failed. The truth was simpler and crueler, this was planned. Carefully. Over time. With intention. For the next 2 weeks, I lived a double life. Outwardly, nothing changed. I went to work. I answered Lydia's messages with polite neutrality. I didn't confront her again. I didn't accuse. I didn't beg. Silence made her comfortable. Comfort made her careless. Every night, after I returned to Elisa's apartment and she went to sleep, I sat at the kitchen table with my laptop and built a timeline. Dates. Transfers. Messages. Credit card statements. Expense reports. The pattern was clear. The debt hadn't been accidental. Lydia had been opening cards in my name steadily, keeping balances just low enough not to trigger alerts. When one maxed out, she opened another. Trips with Rowan. Gifts. Restaurants. Hotels. All funded by my identity. And then there were the emails. Internal company threads where Lydia hinted that she was closer to Helen Cross now. Messages where she suggested that certain performance reviews should be reconsidered. One email made my chest tighten. Rowan trusts me. I think we can secure the promotion next quarter. She wasn't hiding it anymore. She believed she had already won. Marla stayed in touch, quietly feeding me information from the office. Lydia had been telling people I was unstable. That I was struggling emotionally. That I was having trouble letting go after the separation. She was preparing the story. The broken ex. The unreliable partner. The person no one should listen to. I met with my lawyer, Naomi Keller, on a rainy Tuesday morning. She listened without interrupting, her expression sharp but unreadable. This is identity theft, she said finally. And financial abuse. I nodded. I want accountability. She looked at me carefully. That means things will get public. I know. What I didn't tell her yet was that I wanted more than legal resolution. I wanted the truth to land exactly where Lydia had aimed it, inside her carefully built future. Before filing anything, I requested a copy of my full credit report. Naomi helped me freeze my credit and document every forged signature. Each step felt surreal, like I was watching someone else's life being dismantled. One afternoon, my phone buzzed. A message from Lydia. When are you coming by to sign the papers? She thought I still lived nearby. Thought I was hiding, ashamed. I replied calmly, soon. I'll let you know. That same evening, Marla called again. Helen knows, she said quietly. Not everything. But enough to be nervous. Apparently, someone had forwarded Helen screenshots of Lydia's group chat messages, the ones mocking me, the ones describing Rowan as useful. Helen hadn't responded publicly, but Rowan had left work early that day in tears. That was my opening. With Naomi's guidance, I compiled a single, organized file. Not emotional. Not dramatic. Just facts. Proof of fraud. Proof of manipulation. Proof of intent. I sent it directly to Helen Cross's professional email address late Friday afternoon. No accusations. No commentary. Just the truth. By Monday morning, Lydia's promotion had been paused pending review. By Monday afternoon, she was suspended. She called me 57 times. I did not answer. That night, she showed up at Elisa's building, pounding on the door, demanding I fix this. Elise stood behind me while I spoke through the closed door. You destroyed everything, Lydia shouted. You're doing this out of spite. I finally felt something then. Not anger. Clarity. You did this, I said evenly. I just stopped protecting you. She slid down the door, sobbing. I walked away. 2 weeks later, the divorce filing was official. Naomi moved quickly. The judge was not sympathetic to forged documents and deliberate deception. Lydia lost her job. Rowan cut contact. Helen Cross forwarded my documentation to corporate legal without another word. The debt, every dollar, was reassigned to Lydia. But the quiet victory wasn't the courtroom. It was the moment I realized I was no longer afraid of her voice. I slept for the first time in months. And then the phone rang again. A number I didn't recognize. I don't know how else to say this, a woman said softly. But I think we were both married to the same person. Her name was Kara. And she was next. Kara's voice didn't shake when she spoke, but I could hear the effort it took to keep it steady. She told me she'd been dating Lydia for 4 months. That it had started shortly after Lydia told her the marriage was already over. That Lydia had presented herself as a woman rebuilding her life after a difficult separation, someone wounded but honest. She said you were controlling, Kara said quietly. That you monitored her spending. That you were bitter and vindictive. I closed my eyes. The script was familiar. Kara hadn't called me out of curiosity. She called because Lydia had opened 2 credit cards in her name. The same pattern. Different target. We met that evening at a small cafe halfway between our apartments. Kara was younger than me, but not naive. Just trusting. Like I had been. I brought copies. Not to convince her. Just to show her she wasn't imagining things. The forged signatures. The emails. The timeline. I watched her face change in stages, confusion, disbelief, anger, then something quieter. Recognition. She said you ruined her career, Kara whispered. That you were trying to punish her for leaving. I didn't punish her, I said gently. I stopped lying for her. Kara didn't cry. She went very still. By the end of the night, she knew exactly what she had to do. 2 days later, Lydia was arrested. Identity theft. Financial fraud. Multiple counts. The charges stacked quickly once investigators saw the pattern. Not just me. Not just Kara. There were others. Smaller amounts. Shorter timelines. Women who had questioned themselves instead of the person hurting them. Lydia's silence after the arrest was louder than any apology could have been. The trial moved faster than I expected. The evidence was clean. Clear. Methodical. Lydia's lawyer tried to frame it as misunderstandings, shared finances, emotional confusion. The judge wasn't interested. When I testified, I didn't look at Lydia. I spoke to the facts. Dates. Documents. Impact. I didn't need her to see my strength. I needed the truth to stand on its own. She was convicted on 6 counts. Sentencing came a month later. 18 months. Restitution. Permanent record. It wasn't revenge. It was accountability. Afterward, I thought I'd feel relief. Instead, I felt empty. The adrenaline faded, and what remained was grief, not for the relationship, but for the version of myself who had trusted without armor. Healing didn't arrive as a revelation. It came as small, unremarkable moments. The first time I checked my phone and didn't feel dread. The first night I slept without replaying conversations. The first laugh that surprised me because it was real. Therapy helped. Slowly. Painfully. My therapist said something that stayed with me. Betrayal rewires your instincts. You're not broken. You're recalibrating. I changed apartments. Changed routines. Changed the way I spoke to myself. Months passed. Then one afternoon, I ran into Lydia's former colleague at the grocery store. She hesitated before speaking. I wanted to say. I'm sorry, she said. We believed her. About you. I nodded. I know. It didn't sting the way it once would have. Because I no longer needed validation from people who hadn't known the truth. Kara and I stayed in touch. Not closely. But kindly. Survivors don't always need constant reminders of how they met. One evening, while deleting old emails, I found a draft I'd written months before everything collapsed. The subject line read, "What am I doing wrong?" I deleted it without reading further. That question no longer belonged to me. And that was when I realized something important. The justice wasn't in watching Lydia fall. It was in no longer carrying her choices as my burden. I thought the worst part was over when the court date finally ended. I was wrong. Justice does not come with fireworks. It comes quietly, slowly, and sometimes it hurts more than betrayal itself. When Lauren was sentenced, the courtroom did not erupt. No one gasped. No one cried out. She stood there in a plain gray jacket, hands folded, eyes fixed forward, like someone waiting for a bus instead of a verdict. 12 months in a minimum security facility. Restitution. A permanent record. That was it. People think justice feels like victory. It doesn't. It feels like emptiness where anger used to live. As she was led away, Lauren finally looked at me. Not with rage. Not with blame. With disbelief. Like she had truly believed I would save her. I didn't. I went home alone that night. The apartment was quiet. Too quiet. I walked through each room slowly, touching things I once shared with a woman who had called me her partner while treating me like a resource. The couch where she sat and laughed at messages comparing me to someone else. The kitchen where she kissed my cheek after lying to my face. The bedroom where trust quietly died. I didn't cry. I felt finished. 2 weeks later, I received the letter. No return address. Just my name, written carefully. Inside was 1 page. I don't expect forgiveness. I only want you to know that I see now what I destroyed. You were not boring. You were stable, and I mistook that for weakness. I was wrong. I folded the letter once. Then twice. Then I put it in a drawer and closed it. Not because I needed it. but because it no longer controlled me. Life after betrayal is strange. The world keeps moving even when you don't recognize yourself anymore. I changed jobs. Moved to a smaller place across town. Opened a new bank account with only my name on it. The first time my credit score updated and went up, I stared at the screen longer than I should have. It felt like proof that I still existed. My mother called once. She asked if I planned to visit Lauren when she got out. I said no. There was silence on the line. Then she said, quietly. You've changed. Yes, I answered. I had to. Some people heal by forgiving. Others heal by drawing a line so clear it can never be crossed again. I chose the line. Months passed. One evening, while standing in line at a grocery store, my phone buzzed. An unknown number. I don't know you, but I think we were married to the same woman. Her name was Evan. He was polite. Nervous. He had started dating Lauren after me. She told him I was controlling. Unstable. Bad with money. The story sounded familiar. I didn't feel anger. I felt clarity. I told him the truth. Only facts. No insults. He thanked me. Said he wished someone had warned him earlier. So did I. That night, I realized something important. The betrayal didn't end my life. It filtered it. The people who stayed were real. The ones who left never were. A year later, I sat on my balcony watching the city lights come on. Coffee in my hands. No chaos. No fear. Just quiet. I wasn't happy in the way movies promise. But I was whole. And that was enough. Because survival isn't about revenge. It's about reclaiming your voice, your boundaries, and your future. She thought I was boring. What she never understood is that boring people don't burn down their own lives. They rebuild them. And this time, I built mine for myself. People think healing has a clear finish line. Like one day you wake up and everything hurts less. That is not how it works. Healing is quiet. It happens in moments so small you almost miss them. Like the first morning you wake up and do not check your phone for messages that will never come. Like the first time you laugh without guilt. Like the day you realize you no longer rehearse arguments in your head. For a long time, I measured my progress by absence. No fear. No anger. No memories pulling me backward. But real healing did not come from forgetting. It came from understanding. A year after the divorce was finalized, I received the last official document. The final debt adjustment. Everything that had been taken in my name was legally removed. I stared at the paper longer than I expected. This was proof. Not that I was right. But that I had survived. I framed nothing. I celebrated nothing. I simply made dinner, opened a window, and let fresh air move through my apartment. That night, I slept without dreams. I started therapy again, but this time it was different. Not crisis therapy. Not damage control. This time, it was about rebuilding identity. My therapist asked me a question that stayed with me. Who were you before you learned to make yourself smaller? I did not have an answer. So we worked backward. I learned that I had confused peace with silence. That I had mistaken endurance for love. That I had believed being chosen meant being valuable. It took time to unlearn that. Some days were easy. Others were heavy. But every step forward belonged to me. I stopped apologizing for things that were not my fault. Stopped explaining my boundaries like they needed permission. Stopped trying to be understood by people committed to misunderstanding me. Then something unexpected happened. I met Noah. Not in a dramatic way. Not in a storybook moment. He worked in the same building as me. Different company. Different floor. We started talking in the elevator. About nothing. About everything. He never rushed me. Never asked why I was careful. Never tried to fix me. One evening, he said, "You don't owe me trust. I'm okay earning it slowly." That sentence changed something in me. Because for the first time, someone did not see my caution as a flaw. We moved carefully. Honest conversations. Clear boundaries. When I told him the truth about my past, he did not flinch. He said, "That explains your strength. Not your weakness." I cried after that. Not because of pain. Because someone finally saw me clearly. Years passed. Lauren was released early for good behavior. I heard it through someone else. I felt nothing. No anger. No satisfaction. Just distance. She tried to contact me once. A message asking if we could talk, for closure. I did not respond. Closure is not a conversation. It is a decision. I had already made mine. One afternoon, while walking through a park, I realized something simple and powerful. I was no longer living in reaction. My choices were not shaped by fear of being betrayed again. They were shaped by self-respect. I trusted myself now. Not because I believed everyone was good. But because I knew I would survive even if someone was not. That is freedom. On my birthday last year, Noah asked me a question. Are you happy? I thought about it honestly. I'm not afraid anymore, I said. And that feels better than happiness ever did. He smiled. We moved in together slowly. Separate accounts. Clear agreements. Mutual respect. Love without ownership. Connection without control. Sometimes I still remember who I used to be. The woman who tried harder instead of asking harder questions. The woman who thought being chosen meant being safe. I don't judge her. She did the best she could with what she knew. But I don't live as her anymore. The final lesson betrayal taught me was not about trust. It was about self-worth. That I do not need to be exciting to be valued. I do not need to be silent to be loved. I do not need to be convenient to be chosen. I am enough as I am. And anyone who cannot see that is simply not meant to stay. Some people break you. Others teach you how strong you already were. This story did not end with revenge. It ended with clarity. And that is the kind of ending that lasts. Thank you for watching the video. Don't forget to like and subscribe to the channel. Have a nice day.